Okay, we're sitting here this afternoon with Richard Baldorf, and Richard moved into town here a while ago, and he's a new member of our community. And his practice is in the Feng Shui area. So, and he practices that in geomancy. So what I'm going to do is start off with a little background with Richard and asking some questions, and then we'll just go from there. So Richard, welcome to the community.
Thank you.
Richard, tell me a little bit about how you got to Montana and how long you've been here, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I'd lived in Montana a couple times previously down in Missoula, and just fell in love with Montana, western Montana, and had to be elsewhere for quite a period of time. And then when I came back, I decided to come up into the Flathead Valley, and so that's where I'm living, is up here on the east side of the Flathead Valley right now. Very, very pleased to be back in Montana. Great, wonderful people here.
A lot of energy.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, how long have you been back this time up here?
Since last fall. I got back here in November.
And how are you guided to come back up to this area, if I can ask?
Well, when I was thinking, when I had to be elsewhere for a few years, and I kept feeling my way into where I wanted to be, and I love Missoula, I just didn't feel that that was where I had to live, or that'd be the optimal place for me to live. And so I came up into this area and through Big Fork, and I come through Big Fork once, and it just kind of stuck with me, that whole area in the Swan River Valley and Jewel Basin, and it just really felt like the best place for me to be. So that's where I came back to, was up into the Big Fork area.
Great. Tell us a little bit about your the practice that you're involved in, the Feng Shui Geomancy.
Okay.
Just tell me what that involves and how did you get involved in it in the first place?
Okay, well, I picked up on what's called geomancy first. Now, geomancy, to give you a brief definition, Dave, is it has to do with earth energies, okay, earth energetic flows, earth energetic grids, which are multidimensional in nature, and that's something that I came into back, 25 years ago, actually back in the late 80s. And I started working with that, and over time, by the mid-90s, it came to me that this was, well, actually it came to me a lot earlier, that it was the work of my heart, actually. I just love my work, and I love doing it, whether it's business-related or non-business related work. And then in the mid-90s I picked up geomancy because the two things dovetail. They're all about earth energetic flows and about balance and harmony within and outside of physical environments. Well, I should correct that. Inside or outside of any kind of physical environments, everything is influenced by earth energetic flows and how they work, and if there's problems with those flows, it can affect a lot of things.
Okay, and in doing the work that you do, it deals with the feelings of, let's say, Mother Earth, and whether a piece of property or whatever feels correctly. Can you go into that a little bit?
Well, when I look into a piece of property, and I don't have to physically be on site to do that, because this is an intuitive process with the geomancy in particular, and I look at what is working and what isn't working, simply that. And then, because often earth energetics and grids within specific areas, small areas or even larger areas, become very unbalanced, misaligned, for numerous reasons. Natural, what is the word I'm looking for? Natural causation, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, etc. All kinds of things can definitely influence how the grids get shifted and moved. Human activity is a huge reason why grids get misaligned or clogged or whatever, as well as individual, how should I say this, individual, the intent of individuals will influence the grid, as well as emotional energy. And the work involves like the realignment, rebalance, and clearing of grids and when I say clearing of structures too, energetic clearing of structures, so that earth energetics have a chance to really flow and move, which makes a huge difference in terms of, I should say the potential of this work is enormous. I found that out of the time that I have done this work. And I don't want to say that it's for everybody, because sometimes it isn't. And that's okay. What I do find is that the work can be really, really beneficial for people. And when I say beneficial, there's lots of examples I can give you. It can potentially help with people's health, because if you have an environment, an energetic environment that isn't really a clean environment, Dave, that environment does affect us physically. It does affect us emotionally. It can lead to sickness. Okay, it can lead to a lot of emotional distress, and people often don't know why, and for good reason they don't know why. The work that I do really brings everything back into balance, is what it does. The potential of the work for people in their lives, and I don't know, when I do a job, I don't know what's going to happen, because that's going to be, I don't know what's going to happen for people in their lives. Okay, because it can affect any arena of a person's life, whether it's personal or professionally. And that's based on choices that people make in their lives. So when I say I don't know what's going to happen, it's because, well, I'm not the one making their choices. I do my work, and I always do my work extremely well, because that's important to me to do. And I should mention that this is a work that it is a work of service. And that's the most important thing to me. Yes, it's my business, and it's all part of the work. At the same time, it is a work of service. I want my clients to benefit in whatever way that they can.
Okay. And could you give us, how long have you been, you said you've been involved with this for like 25 years, and it's evolved. And how long have you been involved in this last segment of this? This whole learning process has been on an evolutionary goal. And so how long have you been really, really involved in it, that you feel you can do remote work and local work and things like that?
Oh, for a long time. Really, the business part of my work started in '96. It was in the mid-'90s. I'm pretty sure it was '96. And before that was, I had my learning curve. Although I had to learn about what this work was about as it came into my consciousness, my awareness, and my knowing. And the realization that I was onto something that is actually a very ancient thing. It's been known since ancient times, whether it was put into languaging or not, because it's an intuitive and instinctive thing, because we're connected to the natural world in the ways that we are or are not. And the less that we're connected to the natural world, the less feel we're going to have for, I think from a feng shui standpoint of how to place anything on the surface of the earth, whether it be buildings or anything else for that matter. So the importance for me, because of the connection that I have with the natural world. I hike, I walk, I have for years, and I love doing it. And there's so much that keeps me connected, and it's so important for me to stay connected to the natural world. And it's very easy to become disconnected for any of us. And that's one thing I encourage people to do, is to, and even if you live in a city, there's always bare ground somewhere, or grass, or trees, somewhere within any given city usually. And to be out in that, because sometimes maybe that's all you need to have. In terms of moving on with the work and how it's evolved for me, I just keep going deeper and deeper into what it's all about, because I don't think I know everything, not at all. And each job for me, in a way, is a learning experience. Each job is unique that I take on. And as I said, I don't know what I'm going to run into normally, or all that much. I get service impressions when I have initial connections with people and contact with people, when I do what I call my intake, because I have to gather information about you and your situation. But I keep going deeper and deeper into each situation, and because there are more, as the earth keeps evolving, as things keep changing for all of us, I keep seeing energy forms that I didn't see 20 years ago, because there are different energy forms, and some of that is that, okay, I haven't seen all the different energy forms that are available related to the earth grids. At the same time, there are also, I have a very distinct sense that there's also energy forms, earth energetic forms, that are new forms for the earth. And that's one reason I haven't seen them before. And I keep working with them. It doesn't, whatever the form is what it is. And I keep finding ways in which to keep deepening into the forms, and that makes the work, well, it makes the work deeper for my clients. I've always felt that I've done my work extremely well, because I have no tolerance for error in my work. And the work has a way of moving so that it doesn't create problems, because I have a mantra. One of my mantras is that nothing I do ever hurts or harms anybody. Okay? That's always been my mantra. That's always been my intent. And it never has. My work has never hurt or harmed anybody, nor will it, because I don't want it to. And I have no intent in that way. The work is the work of the heart.
So, Richard, do you have guides that help you through this process?
I have guidance, yes.
Okay.
I have guidance, and each person's guidance is unique for each person. And yes, I have guidance, absolutely. And the guidance comes from wherever it comes from. I know what I know about my own guidance, my own knowing, and it's really comes. Guidance is one word for it, Dave. I would also have to say that it's really just what we know as people from within our own beings. And that comes from the vastness of who we are, because we are vast, vast beings, far more so than we think. You know, we're in a human 3D form, which has tremendous advantages and pluses. And we also think that this form limits us. And it really doesn't. If we understand that what's within this form and what creates this form, this human form of ours, is far beyond what we can know, probably even in our own minds. And yet, there's such a vastness to our beings, and we can access that vastness. And that's, I think, in my own way, that's what I do. And I would want to encourage people to do that. Deepen and enrich their lives.
So if people, potential clients for you, if they had a concern about a piece of property or a situation like that, they would basically call you and work with you to seek whatever they were trying to resolve.
Yeah, people can call me, and it's not just problems with properties. It's like my work, and the potential of what the work can do encompasses anything and everything in life. In terms of if you have problems with what's going on, what you feel, what you sense in any way, shape, or form, with your home, with the land around you, or whatever, I would, somebody calls me, I do what I call an intake. And we may spend a half hour to an hour on the phone, or in person if that's the situation too. It's often on the phone, but either way is fine. And then I can find out, because I need to get a holistic picture of who you are and what your life is about, and what's going on within your environment or environments of any kind, and then we would go from there with whether this work is suitable for you at this time. And that's something we work together on to determine that, and then we go from there.
And Richard, you do remote work and you do one-on-one type work.
Okay, yes, I can work anywhere,
Okay.
sitting here in Montana, in terms of the geomancy in particular. I have done long-distance feng shui too, which is a little more involved in terms of people have to take pictures of everything and anything for me, and usually work through email or some form of file exchange. In terms of geomancy, I can do that anywhere, anytime. Most of my business work, the vast majority of my business work, I do not ever get to see in person because it is done long distance, and because the geomancy work is an intuitive process, or intuitively based process. So it doesn't matter where you are, I can tune into wherever you are. I can look right into it because I am indirectly looking at the physical through the energetic. And then the physical, actually it's indirect and yet it's direct too. It's hard to kind of explain that part of it. And I don't know that I can. But distance is absolutely no problem.